Like, you don't think that yes, sir. Go ahead.
The fundamental distinction that is made is based upon color, but people use the term race, and scientifically and genetically speaking, race is a term that doesn't exist. It's non-existent.
But you understand the common use that the word has when we're discussing it. So to play a game of semantics and go, well, technically, guys, I mean, come on. We all know what we're talking about when we say race. We all know you talk about black people or white people. You understand that.
When you're talking about black and white, you're talking about color, that's fine. But I just want to add in a little quote from George Orwell.
Mm-hmm.
If thought can corrupt speech, speech can corrupt thought. When you start using race, it brings out the connotation that there's a fundamental biological, physical...
No, it doesn't. You don't. Well, the fact that you would put a negative spin on it...
Maybe I'm older than you, and maybe it's because of the time that I grew up in.
Right. I don't know. Would you remember when women couldn't vote or no?
If you want to go back to the women's studies...
We're just getting into an ideological thing, because I was kind of for what you were doing, but now it just seems like it's almost like you're a special interest parody. Like, I'm the guy who goes after the women's causes. Like the guy in California who was fighting the Pledge of Allegiance. It almost like I'm just listening to your reasoning, and to me it's a complete... It's very sectional, as opposed to like, yeah, this is how I feel. We should all be given the same amount of X, Y, and Z. You have it specifically for women. I should say, I almost had a hard-on for women, but you know what I mean.
No. I know what you mean. I can see your point of view. I respect your point of view. That's not how I see it.
The fact that you would...
I see what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Is to eliminate the constitutional violation of men's rights by feminism.
The fact that you think that domestic violence is fairly close in the people who are doing the beating and being beaten.
I don't say that the Department of Justice.
I don't buy that. I don't buy it.
Go to the Department of Justice Studies website.
Yeah, I'd like to look at that. The one thing I would believe is that the domestic violence is obviously more against women than men, but I think women will use it, especially in court, and say that they were violated.
I only mean legitimate
assaulted
cases
when they actually weren't, in order to get the guy in trouble.
Sure.
Now that I've seen happen, but as far as a 40-60 split of violence against men and women,
I don't buy it.
You know, I don't know. I'll look that up. I know where the website is for the Department of Justice and the stats and stuff.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a 50-50 split of domestic violence, the way domestic violence is defined under the Violence Against Women Act. What I'm saying is serious injuries is probably 60% female, 40% guys. That's what I'm saying. And look it up. If I'm wrong, go on the air.
We'll take a look. See,
I'm a jerk and a liar, and I'm.
No, I don't think you're a jerk and a liar. I just think that the fact that what bothers me is that there's such an inconsistency in your view of what is okay to stress. Like, and I agree with you on feminism in one point. I think in the old days, feminists used to be about wrecking roles. Like, hey, blue doesn't have to be for boys, pink doesn't have to be for girls. Girls can do this, boys can do this. I think it was a lot about removing roles and these bullshit little things corners we get painted into. And then it turned into men are bad. So
right.
I kind of like the fact that you're going after these studies, because I think that the women's studies shit annoys me. But the fact that you have all these excuses as to why racial studies are okay, they're the same excuses used to justify women's studies.
Right.
Well, my belief is that's not so. My belief is that the black studies programs do not wreak the same type of harm to constitutional rights that the feminist program.
And I take it you're pro-choice because you mentioned that, right?
You can criticize my belief system. That's fine, but that's
what I
believe, and I believe I have grounds for that.
Why do you hate women?
You can't hate that which you lust after. So it's not females.
So you lust after women?
Let me finish this.
Sure.
It's not the females I hate. It's the feminists that I despise.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to a club and I'm trying to find some girl, hit on some girl, if I come across a feminist, I move on. But
how do you know she's a feminist?
The target is
hairy armpits.
Go ahead.
How do you know she's a feminist?
Well, when she starts, when I use the term girl, and she tries to tell me to use the term woman, or sometimes she just calls me a chauvinist pig.
I'm a guy.
Wait,
it's pretty obvious.
But wait a minute, and you also mentioned you mentioned the fact they want to kill the unborn, so you got basically a pro-life stance, and you're annoyed at all these. You had a weird thing with women. This is not just about the Constitution, and I think you're being dishonest with yourself and everybody else if you don't just say exactly what it is. Like the fact that you would walk.
Wait. Did you read the VAWA case?
The what?
Well, I have a website that has a Violence Against Women Act. I have 3 lawsuits, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's a Ladies' Nights lawsuit, there's a lawsuit against the Violence Against Women Act, and there's this lawsuit against Women's Studies. If you read the complaint on the Violence Against Women Act, you will see the tipping point that pushed me into this effort to stop the feminism from violating guys' rights. And that was pretty much the Edgar Allan Poe horror of divorce that I went through about 7 years ago. So that's the tipping point if you're looking for the immediate motivation.
Okay, now I see where his motivation came from.
Ever since it started many years ago, because I knew it was just another special interest group trying to get what they don't deserve.
Hey, Roy, it seems like it's a waste of time to go after the clubs and all. Why don't you go after like lawyers that are defending women in divorce cases? Because that seems to be way out of whack and way there's no balance there whatsoever.
That's a problem.
The guy gets screwed almost every single time in a divorce case. That seems like it would do more good than going after club owners because they have a ladies' night.
I mean, you're right about that. I mean, a lot of these lawyers they'll tell the lady what they should say, basically what the lie. The lawyer sits there and says, well, if you say this, you'll get this. If you say that, you won't get that, and that's what they do.
Well, why don't you just try to change the system?
There's no way I can sue those guys because I have to be, whether I bring the action myself or I bring a class action, I have to be injured. Now, that's an interesting point. May be able to do a class action, but it would be against... that's interesting. Maybe that can be done. A bunch of guys who have been screwed over by their wives' lawyers.
There you go.
And bring actually a mass tort against them.
I like that.
Did your ex punch you in the face?
Let me think about that. That's a good idea. I never thought about that.
Did your ex punch you in the face? Because something's going on here.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
And I'm being serious. Did you have some violence at home? Did your ex-wife punch you or something?
Well, she came at me with a knife twice, but I know martial arts, so that was no problem. No, you see, it wasn't the experience with my ex-wife.
Okay.
It was the experience that I went through when I was in a divorce court. I had a judge laugh at me in the divorce court. My ex-wife is a member of the Russian mafia. She's a Russian mafia prostitute. Okay? Now, she had a couple of her goons threatening me.
Really?
I went to the FBI with the tape recording. The FBI calls me up and says, well, we found out who the guy was. I said, who is the guy? And they say, we can't tell you. We don't want to violate the guy's privacy. And then the FBI tells me, oh, don't open your door to anybody you don't know, and be careful when you go out in public. The FBI told me this.
So let me ask you...
sounds like good advice.
It's the treatment that I receive from the courts,
right,
FBI, police, and immigration and naturalization.
But Roy, they were protecting a guy.
Type of lawsuits.
When that privacy thing was protecting his right, not her.
Yeah, that's right. It was protecting his rights. The guy that's threatening me is protecting his rights.
Can I ask? Can I ask you how you ended up with a Russian prostitute mobster?
Sure. I was working as an acting manager for Kroll Associates in Moscow, and Kroll Associates is pretty much a private detective agency.
Mm-hmm.
And I came home one evening when I first got into town, and there was an apartment party in my building, so I crashed the party, and that's where I met her.
Oh, jeez.
But the problem is, it turned out it wasn't just an apartment party. It was the office of a modeling call girl prostitution ring. I mean, in Russia,
lucky you moving in right next door. Huh?
Wow, wow, wow.
Wow, wow. Very nice.
Very nice.
You're going to like this part.
Great success.
When she was a teenager, she was a mistress to a Chechen warlord.
Really?
Now, how did I find all this out? Because Kroll Associates uses guys in the KGB, well, actually, it's now the FSB and military intelligence to find out information. So after things started going nuts, I asked some guys I knew in Russian military intelligence to check her out, and that's what I find out.
Wow.
So, Roy, is the Violence Against Women Act, the unconstitutional thing you're going, is it simply because it allows alien women to acquire citizenship by falsely accusing their husbands or ex-husbands of mistreatment? Is that the part of it you're going after?
That's the part of it, but that's not exactly correct. The problem is that when the girl accuses her husband of mistreating her, right away the government makes everything secret from the husband.
Okay.
If the husband provides any evidence, the government will discard the evidence. It doesn't matter where the evidence comes from, say, the next president of the United States. If it goes through the hands of the husband, the government will discard it. And the government relies mainly upon a sworn affidavit of an alien who wants to become a permanent resident so she can become a citizen.
So what does the actual, if you, it's an unconstitutional Violence Against Women Act, what is the wording of it that you want changed?